Okay, I remember watching a news program a while back, and they mentioned how Jennifer Aniston should try to do different varying roles. I guess they must have forgot that she was actually a Leprechaun. Now, I'll be honest, I grew up on the Davis. Warwick Davis. Willow, awesome movie, maybe I'll talk about it later time. Now, sometimes you get a horror movie that's done super tongue-in-cheek. This one, you have a leprechaun. An evil leprechaun. Who's out to get the remaining pieces of his pot of gold. And it's Warwick Davis, dressed like a little leprechaun. Using magical tricks to get people. It is done. This kind of has that like later Chucky, series feel to it. Because he's a freaking leprechaun, and he's using magic to get people. I hope I don't get this confused up. I do believe he does ride a tricycle. So you have evil Warwick Davis dressed in a bright green, using magic to get the remaining piece of his pot of gold. And it's done. I don't think aimed this movie at all seriously, but it has certain horror elements to it. In a way, it does have that almost child's play feel to it, because you do have a small antagonist that ironically has some pretty decent one-lines. Later on in the series, he becomes almost like the Freddy Krueger thing, where he starts out kind of sinister, but then over time he just becomes, essentially he is the laugh riot of the whole movie. And of course, how do they defeat this magical leprechaun? What protects you from the magic of an evil leprechaun? Why, four-leaf clover. So, how do they defeat him? With a slingshot and four-leaf clover. Because when you have the gold, you essentially get to control a portion of the leprechaun. And much like when you do a wish, a la Wishmaster, things tend to not go the way you wish them to go. It's done well. It's a movie that now you could probably see at like noon, because it's not super scary. It's got some suspense to it, very very small amount of suspense. It does still qualify as a horror movie. I guess they call it fourth mall to the horror-comedy side. But it's good. It's entertaining. It's Warwick Davis, the guy who was Willow, the guy who was one of the Ewoks, as an evil leprechaun. And it's got pre-Friends Jennifer Aniston and a bunch of other people from movies. You probably go, I remember that guy. I think he was like the fat friend in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's enjoyable. It's different. It's got some horror elements, but they're more like horror comedy elements. And it works well. And it's an enjoyable movie. I might maybe review some of the later sequels. Maybe Leprechaun in the Hood or Leprechaun in Space.